everyone. Welcome to the last overview video for Level C. Today we're going to walk through lessons 137 to 140. So let's get started. This week you're going to need your lessons manual, the student worksheet book, the math card games manual with the game cards, the colored tiles, and the dry erase board. This week your child is going to review numbers, operations, and algebraic thinking. They will also complete 2 assessments covering those topics. Well, let's get started by turning to lesson 137. If your lesson manual was printed in 2015 or before, there is a correction listed for this lesson. So make sure you make those changes prior to teaching this lesson. Now let's look down at the section called addition. For this part of the review, you're going to verbally ask problems to your child. The problems are listed in the lesson manual. Now, if you have a struggling learner in your home that might be too difficult for them to hear the problem, process and remember that problem, and then also solve the problem. So there are a couple of modifications you can use to help your child solve these problems successfully. First of all, you can write down the first number of the equation. So you would write down 543. And then you would say 543 plus 10 equals. And then let your child solve that verbally. And then the next one is 543. 543 minus 10 is what? So you have the one number written on the board and then verbally say everything else and let your child verbally answer. Now, if that is still a little too much for your struggling learner, you can write down the entire problem on the whiteboard and then have your child verbally answer the problem. Ask as many of these problems as needed for your child to be comfortable with this process, as it's going to be used as one of the questions on the assessment. This style of question is also on the assessment. So make sure your child is really comfortable with that. Take a look at the section called place value. In this section, you're going to ask your child how many digits are in each of the numbers. Now, for the struggling learner, we can modify that a little bit. You can have your child write down the number before you say it. Make sure they're the ones who are writing down the number. You verbally say the number and they write that number down and then tell you how many digits are in that number. Ask, again, as many problems as necessary for your child to be confident with this particular type of problem. Look at the section called number sequence. In this section, your child is going to be counting by 2s, by 5s, by 10s, and by 100s. Then you're going to give your child worksheet 92, and you're going to have them work through the place value problems that's listed on that worksheet. If they struggle with this part of the problem, you can review lesson 24. On the top of the second page of the lesson, you're going to have your child continuing working through worksheet 92 by doing some comparison problems. If your child struggles with some of the adding elements of those type of problems, you can review lessons 20, 21, and 22. You can also play some math card games to strengthen up those addition math facts. If your child needs a review of comparisons, you can review lesson 26. For the multi-digit addition problems, you can review lessons 27, 28, 29, and 30. And for the multi-digit subtraction problems, you can review lessons 88, 89, 90, 91, and 92. For the final addition problems listed on the worksheet, you can review lessons 20, 21, and 22. The math card game listed for this lesson is the corners game, which you've played previously several times. And we also have a blog for that game if you need to go back and review it. All right, well, let's go ahead and turn to lesson 138. This is the assessment. Now, this assessment is a little bit more important than the assessments you did last week because it's really working on that arithmetic piece that your child really does need to have down. If your child struggles with arithmetic, you are definitely going to want to strengthen up those skills throughout the summer before you start the next level. So you may want to spend some extra time this summer playing games and reviewing the lessons and concepts that they struggled with on this particular assessment if they are struggling. As always, I'm going to give you the lesson numbers to review if your child struggles on a section. If your child struggled with problems 1 through 4, which are those verbal problems, you can review lesson 137. Use the same modifications that you used when you did these kind of problems in lesson 136. For problems 5 through 7, which are the place value questions, you can provide the same modifications that you used in lesson 136. For problems 8 through 11, which are the skip counting problems, if your child struggles with some of these, just practice those skip counting processes throughout the summer. For problems 12 and 13, which are the place value card questions, review lesson 24. For problems 14 through 17, which are the comparison problems, for the adding element, look at lessons 20, 21, and 22. For the comparison element, look at lesson 26. For problems 18 through 19, which are the multi-digit addition problems, review lessons 27, 28, 29, and 30. For problems 20 and 21, which are the multi-digit subtraction problems, review lessons 88, 89, 90, 91, and 92. For problems 22 through 25, which are those extended adding problems, addition problems, review lessons 20, 21, and 22. And for the problems 26 and 27, which are the word problems, if your child struggles with the part whole section, you can review that by looking at lesson 6 that covers the part whole circles. If they are struggling with the subtraction element, look at lesson 53. Okay, well, let's go ahead and turn to lesson 139. For the first page of this lesson, any of the elements that is covering evens and odds numbers. If your child is struggling with that and remembering when they add those odd and even numbers, what the result is, if it's going to be an even or odd, you can look at lesson 14. Now take a look at the top of the second page of the lesson where we're covering arrays. If your child does not remember the arrays or needs to review it, you can review lessons 32 and 33. The game for this lesson is Some Rummy, which you've played previously, and we also have a blog for it. And because it's been a little while, I'll give you the name of the blog. The blog is 2019 Summer Game Number 1, Some Rummy. All right, well, let's go ahead and turn to lesson 140. If your lesson manual was printed in 2015 or before, there is a correction for this lesson, so make sure you make those changes prior to teaching this lesson. Just as with all other assessments, you are not looking for perfection for this, but you're looking for understanding. If your child struggles with the understanding, you will definitely want to spend time reviewing those concepts or playing math card games over the summer months. As always, I'm going to provide the references to which lessons you can review for each segment of the assessment. For problems 1 through 10, which are the basic math facts, if your child struggled with the addition portion of those math facts, take a look at lessons 9, 10, 11, and 12, as well as play some math card games to help strengthen up those addition math facts. For subtraction, you can review lessons 43, 44, and 45, and also play subtraction math card games. For problems 11 and 12, which are the word problems, if your child struggled with the part whole circles portion of those problems, you can review lesson 6. If your child struggled with the subtraction part of those problems, review lesson 53. For problems 13 through 19, which is covering the evens and odds, review lesson 14. For problems 20 through 30, which is talking about the arrays, you can take a look at lessons 32 and 33. And if your child struggled with area in those problems, take a look at lesson 37. Congratulations on completing level C. You're going to want to fill in the level C completion certificate and give it to your child. Make a big deal out of it. Go out to dinner, buy them a dessert or something to kind of celebrate so that they feel that sense of accomplishment because they have covered and learned a tremendous amount of information. So celebrate it. Next year, you're going to be needing level D. Here is a picture of what you're going to need. So this is the Level D book bundle. If you purchase the entire math set for Level C, you will not need anything else except for the Level D book bundle. In Level D, you're going to be working through multiplication really hard. So make sure this summer that you're playing some card games or kind of getting your child comfortable with multiplication math facts, because it's going to really give you a jump start into next year. I know that you're done and that you're ready for a break. However, do yourself and your child a favor. During this summer months, play some math card games. Take 10 minutes a day, 2 or 3 days a week, just reviewing what your child learned in this past year in Level C. Like I said before, you might even want to get a little head start on multiplication, play some multiplication math card games. Trust me, your future self will thank you on this. I have really enjoyed our time together this year. As always, if you have any questions or concerns, give us a call or email us. We are here to help. I look forward to seeing you next year when we work with Level D. Have a great summer, everybody.